Greetings, Tom Earl here. On this week's episode, I interview sci-fi poet and illustrator Paradise Khanmalek.
That's my name.
It's true. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the celebration. It's an honor to have you here. We know you could be anywhere, so the fact that you're here joining us today, we appreciate the heck out of that. As you can see, I am not alone. I have an amazing guest for you all today. Goes by the name of Paradise Khanmalek, also known as T.H.E, sci-fi writer and illustrator. Welcome so much to the show.
Thanks.
Yeah, high five. Boom. Fist bump. Exploded. So, how's it going?
It's going good.
Yeah?
Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing amazing. Do you mind breaking that down for us a little bit? Sci-fi writer and illustrator?
Yeah. I write sci-fi poetry, and I like for it to be sci-fi, not just in content, but in structure. So I like experimental poetry. I also like to toe the line between narrative and poetry. The longest piece of writing I would write is probably a 1 or 2 page short story. So it's mostly just like short, weird poems.
Okay.
And then I also make digital illustrations for my poetry and for fun, not accompanied by poetry. And those digital illustrations, I also like them to be sci-fi in content and in structure. So I really like the concept of breaking the digital third wall.
Okay.
So I could go on forever. Like,
go for
should
it.
I?
Do your thing.
Okay, so like, this is a concept I'm really into. So like, you know how in painting there was this shift during modernism where like modern painters really like to show the viewer their paint marks rather than attempting like sheer perfect realism.
Mm-mm.
So like, yeah, that's like one of the things of like modernism, like what's his name, Monet or whatever. I don't even remember their names. I don't even care. Like they're all racist, but I kind of like doing that with digital illustration where I like to make it obvious that it's digital and like break the third wall and kind of be like, you know, make something that's like hella flat and like super digital and like makes you think about computers but also makes you think about the actual content, which is usually like magical brown girls. And I really like contrasting like flat colors with gradients and like things with a lot of like plump shape with things that are just super flat and like almost like just like a pixel or a shape or just like, you know what I'm saying?
I do. But just in case, could you give us, do you have any examples of your illustrations in your book that you could break down for us?
Sure. Yeah, so like I really like the...
Would you mind holding up slow?
Okay, so I really like contrasting something like that, which is like a fully defined 3-dimensional shape with something like that, which is just a super flat outlined shape, and making those kinds of visual contrasts. But one of these illustrations breaks the third wall the best, and that's this one. So when I exported it as a JPEG, I exported it and I checked off ignore artboards, which means that like any lines that I created outside of the frame were like included. So I kind of like that, which kind of...
And would you mind for the folks who are listening and can't see to kind of describe what you're showing?
So this is an illustration of some things that I draw repeatedly. A hairy, delicious brown hand and an eye that is almost closed. So it's kind of like a crescent moon, an actual crescent moon, a bunch of stars, and a really beautiful, like weird, digitally inspired flower. And then there's like misty clouds behind everything. And so just one corner of one misty cloud is peeking out from the blue border. And then there's also these like body hairs just like scattered around the frame. And a lot of those body hairs are peeking out from the edge of the border as well. So that's my attempt at breaking the digital third wall.
And you said you draw a lot of these a lot.
Yeah.
Do you mind telling us at all why maybe some of them you draw a lot?
I follow my intuition, and ever since I was younger, I think like a lot of people who draw can relate to this. Ever since I was younger, I'm obsessed with basically drawing women and eyes, and because they're fun and they're spiritual, and I have a lot of different theories around why I'm attracted to them. One being that when you draw an eye or a set of eyes, you feel like you have a companion visually and you feel less alone. So like sometimes when I'm sad, I'll draw eyes on my legs and then I'll feel like there's somebody there with me, or
That's
it's
awesome.
just like, it's just different. And I draw hands because I think they're really sexy and sexual, especially as a queer woman. I really feel like it's interesting to me how hands like aren't seen as sexual as they are, because they are literally used to penetrate people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
And so it's interesting that they're not regarded more in the same way a phallus is. So I think they're really sexy. I think they're really curvy and pretty and fleshy and like meaty. So I draw them a lot, and I love nails. I love nail art. I love body hair, and I love body hair on hands.
That's awesome. I was thinking when you said it too, I was like, "Ooh, those nails look nice." So
You
it's funny
know,
mentioned that.
I do love nail art. I love nail art.
That's awesome. One of my friends who's a really great artist, he always said that once you can draw hands, you can really grasp art. Do you think there's any truth to that?
I feel like I don't think the thing that this is my opinion.
Okay.
I don't think there exists a can and cannot draw, because anybody can draw whatever the hell they want, and realism is just such a moot point. You know what I'm saying? So anybody can draw a hand. So I don't think that allows you that. I don't think that's a gate. I don't think there's any gatekeeping in grasping art. I think you can grasp anything you want without having to do anything.
Oh, that felt so good. Because that's what we always talk about at the live and online expression session, that there's no wrong or right way to do art.
Totally. I totally agree.
When did you start believing that? Because society, I guess to clarify, because it might be a loaded question, I feel like so often society's job is to get us to disbelieve that. So maybe you could talk a little bit about your journey in embracing that. Maybe that's a more accurate way to ask that.
Yeah. Embracing, like, are we still talking about visual art, or are we talking about the concept of like embracing embracing that these like false gatekeeping things don't exist?
Yeah, that there's no wrong or right way to express yourself.
Yeah. I think that concept emerged at the same time as my like racial and social justice awakening when I was like 19-ish. And like I was in university in Canada, and I was just starting to use this website called Tumblr, which is like basically this website where like for a few years like a shit ton of like young people of color just like screamed at each other that like racism sucks, and like educated the shit out of me. And like I had like kind of an intense like traumatic rebirth. It was like very emotional. It was like literally just 2 straight years of like an intense identity crisis. But basically like I just went through this intense like decolonization of the mind, and I'm still going through it, but it's like less terrible now. It's like less emotional now. But so when I like experienced that, I started to question everything. So I was like, okay, so I'm questioning everything that I've been taught about race and gender and identity. Why not question everything I've been taught about reality, about art, about government, about God? You know what I mean? Like, I just was like, whoa, like, if this paradigm exists in these disgustingly wrong levels, like, if I've lived this long under this false pretense that, like, my race and my color make me inferior, what else am I believing that's false? You know what I mean? And I feel like there's a lot, and there's still a lot to uncover.
That's amazing. I love Tumblr too.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm sorry.
I mostly use it for porn now.
Nice.
Yeah, all the people, all like the activists that I followed and stuff, I still follow, but like on different websites. I don't know. I think they like fucked up their like algorithm or some shit because like their app is like so glitchy now. So,
what were some other epiphanies that you have had throughout your journey in life?
Yeah, I guess like the biggest one was that white people aren't as great as I thought they were. That was life-changing. Gender as a construct was life-changing because I was like, oh yeah, that's actually something that I have felt my entire life. Epiphanies.
Do you mind if I ask, in what ways have either of those changed your life?
Well, I just struggled a lot when I was younger with internalized racism. So, like, learning about the machinery of white supremacy and the falseness of it really changed my life for the better mentally, for my mental health. Felt really good to, like, all of a sudden be like, actually, I have a lot of worth and value. And, like, I am interesting and beautiful and a whole person. That was just life-changing, like, psychologically. It was really empowering and good.
Yeah. I believe that.
Yeah.
With kind of that machinery constantly waging war on our minds, with, you know, white supremacist, capitalist patriarchy, how do you maintain that sense of what you just said before?
Yeah.
Maintaining that this is my power.
It's so hard, and I feel like I still struggle with it so much because it's like, it's not just white supremacy that's like weighing down on me. It's also like other stuff, like family stuff, money stuff. So it's like sometimes I just feel really overwhelmed, and sometimes like those creeping insecurities, like they do sometimes reemerge. And like I have a few tools on my like mental health tool belt that like help me get through them, like taking walks, making art, eating delicious food, surrounding myself with good affirming people, going on the internet and like places I really like to go, and like communicating with people who see me and like, you know what I mean, like really see me, and like, yeah, so like, you know, those things get me through it.
It's awesome. I think that not to underscore any of those though, but I'm not saying you are, but just for people listening, that I know for a lot of us, each one of those is like hard one to find, that this is what keeps me having joy. So I know a lot of people are probably taking notes, like, I'm gonna try that one. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I appreciate you sharing that with people who are listening.
Yeah, cooking, dude. Food. That's what it is.
I agree.
Yeah.
I used to be a hater for cooking. I used to be like, it's a waste of time. Let me just order it or stuff like that. But now every Friday, get my favorite podcast or like a good album, and I cook something awesome, listen to it, and I found that it's like an act of self-care as well.
Yeah, totally.
So I feel like we've been teasing the folks out there enough. Do you mind if they hear one of your poems?
Sure.
Which one do you want to share with them?
I think I'm gonna read like my best poem that I've ever written, called I Am Holy.
Okay,
yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay, should I just go?
Just go for it.
Okay. I am holy. I am a stunning brown droplet, cool and flecked with a galaxy of golden sand. I'm dancing onto a seashore with my rippling community. I form a coat of dazzling diamond water drops on the jagged peach back of a starfish. The sun greets my liquid body and swims in a million squiggles upon entering my surface with its light. My body is natural, vibrant neon orange, set against the neutral gray turquoise of my mother and brother. Our colors hang out with each other in the spirit realm, while simultaneously our earthly bodies dine together on weekends. My hands are meaty flowers, God's plants ripe for the creation of poetry, meals, and caresses. Every organic cherry tomato that floats down my throat, eviscerated and ready to join its brothers in my stomach, marvels at my guts. So pink, so lovely. They croon while my blood carries their nutrients to my brain, muscles, and bones. In these ways, I'm holy. Are my cysts holy too? Yes. What about my squirming neurons that shoot through tired synapses, a map of electricity in my brain, scrawled years ago by the shaky hand of childhood depression? Yes, those neurons are holy too. Even my spine, disjointed and bent in pain. Yes, your spine, my spine, is a deity. Its followers pilgrimage toward lumbar Mecca as cells duplicate in a thronging mass. Our spine has DNA twirling around every crevice, the most complex cyber ribbon. Its bend shoots pain through our perfect, weary, flaming red muscles and our creamy marrow. Each trickle of purple blood orbiting our point of injury is holy. Have I been holy this whole time? We didn't always feel holy, but we always were. Even as grains of Lucas were licked from the palm of our small hand, standing disassociated in the sun, the sprawling black asphalt playground hugging our vision, goddess juice was spiraling through our veins. Even on Thursdays at the Westwood Recreation Center, anxious and lost in thought, slapping through chlorine water, we were Power's seedling, waiting to hatch like the most glorious marble dinosaur egg. Back then, we slurped fluorescent ice. We waited with anticipation in the back of our family's old, seatless, broken-down red van as our dad bought all the carpool kids chili cheese dogs. We wandered for hours in our winding, luxurious brain, inventing worlds where fresh water and pungent turquoise foliage enveloped our presence. Throughout all of it, all the slimy droplets of sugar that pooled in our stomach, all the smoky wind rivers we barreled through on the freeway, all the oppressive interactions and abuse, we were holy. What is holy? Holiness isn't pure. It isn't one solid color, a swatch on Photoshop. It's an ever-evolving gradient. It's the most profound digital illustration you've ever seen. Holiness is the bursting umami flavor with each bite of Samosa House pickled mango and smoked cauliflower. It's the fragrant dollop of olive oil and lavender we rub on our skin at night. It's slices of tahine-coated watermelon and mango that we munch on in the sun. I am holy. I am a tired, neon yellow tinted, turmeric stained slice of warm fried eggplant, divine and delicious, spiced and salted by thousands of spirits. I am a 5'3" flowering cactus, a green succulent napping moistly in the warm blanket of California. I'm a tall glass of iced green tea, bedazzled with condensation, an antioxidant-rich deity in the making. I am holy.
Yay!
Thanks.
Your poems always feel like such a massage. Like I'm just like basking in them.
You know
every
what?
time
They
I hear
feel
them.
like a massage for me too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
In what way?
I really enjoy writing it, and then later when I read it, it feels good because it feels like these things that it feels like I'm working towards my health. You know what I mean?
I do. When I hear your poems read, I always feel like, thank God they're being read today because they just sound like, although they're written, that they're meant to be read.
Oh, cool.
At least in the way, you pronounce, I love some of your words are, have this staccato alive feeling, fantastic and juicy and glorious. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm really into that. Yeah.
I love it because it's something to hold on to and it's rhythmic.
Delicious language.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
When did you as a writer start to feel that I like this?
Well, I never wrote anything. Oh, no, I did actually. Yeah. I used to write really weird stuff that wasn't very sensual or personal. It was more like comedy and like funny and like games and just like weird, just experimental weird shit, like absurdist poetry. And then after my dad died, and then I didn't really write regularly. I was all about visual art. But my dad was a poet, and then when he died, I just started writing poetry like every day.
Really?
Yeah, and I feel like his ghost like lived inside my body and wanted to write. And I didn't even like read and write Farsi very well, but after he died, I literally wrote like poems in Farsi all the time. So like I'm pretty sure it was his ghost. But anyways, so then I would write poetry all the time. And in fact, I remember the night that I was like, actually writing is really fun. Like I saw this random image on Tumblr of like this woman, and she was like wearing a lot of like, I don't know, maybe it was an illustration. She was like in front of like this bleeding orange red sunset, and she was like doing some sort of magic stuff in the ground, or I don't even remember. And then like I just saw the image and I was like, damn, like I want to write a story about that. And then I just did. And then I wrote like a 3-page story all about it. And then I just was like, this is really fun.
That's awesome. What do you mean by this was really fun?
Because before that, I never really wrote like that. I never really sat down and wrote with delicious, like, wrote with the intention of like trying to imagine something delicious to all the senses. You know what I'm saying? Because like before that, I was just writing things that I felt were interesting in content, or things that I felt were like funny. It was all about the content. And then after that story, I realized like it's not just the content that interests me. It's like the actual experience of hearing the words and speaking the words and reading the words and imagining the words and like the actual consonants. You know what I mean? The sensuality of it.
I mean, that's why I said it feels like a massage. Because it is. It goes through all of you. You can't help but feel it within yourself.
Yes.
And I think even hearing you describe it as a bloody sun, that I hear in your words, that your words like call to the body. You know what I mean?
Totally. And I feel like that's part of my mental health process too, is like kind of trying to come back from disassociation and like just sitting down and writing with so much passion everything I'm experiencing, like the air, you know, whatever I'm in, you know, this Tom Earl's bedroom, and like the wooden floor and how it feels against my feet, and like, you know what I'm saying? Like writing about all of the little physical details you're in, but with like delicious language. It makes me feel like, you know what? This world is beautiful, and I just need to straight up observe it.
That's amazing.
You know, I need to observe all the textures, because all these textures are here just waiting for me to write about them. And I'm just here like, oh, I'm so bored. Life sucks. But it's like when I take a minute to like think about it and write about it, I can get hella romantic.
That's
you know
amazing.
what I mean? With the world.
Yeah. It calls to mind too, 2 episodes from now. The episode's on loving and trusting your body. And it talks about how, just like we talked about psychological wars, there's also a psychological war to get everybody on this earth to hate their bodies. And really your poetry, the way we're talking about it, it seems like a constant call to love everything about your body exactly as it is. Totally.
I'm all about that. I truly do not believe ugliness exists. I think that is such a fallacy. And I truly believe, there is like beauty in every crevice.
That's amazing. How did you get to, I mean, you've always been awesome, but I think that maybe I'm adding on a perception that our viewers might have of just like, how do I become so like self-loving and self-confident that you like radiate? You know what I'm saying? We're just like, this is who I am. Fuck you because I'm amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like almost lucky because like growing up, I just like had so many challenges with how I look and being bullied and not fitting in that I was just challenged. I was like put to the challenge at a young age, and I took on that challenge over and over and over again because the world, just ever since I was a little girl, has like told me that I'm worthless. So it's like I can't live like that. So I've had to figure out how to prove that voice wrong, or you know what I mean? Like just like yeah. So I took on that challenge a long time ago.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, thank you for asking me to share it.
Yes. I think that's why, they say that, like, men have really fragile egos, or, like, guys, that we don't have any resiliency because of the way society's structured. We do have a personal conflict, but there's not institutional conflict that's constantly you're having to work through.
No, I totally agree. And I'm sure there's lots of things that I also, like, have never had to go through because of, like, the many different ways I've grown up with privilege, but at least with body image issues, I have had so much practice.
Mm-hmm. What's so, with your poetry and with the way you live and invite people to embrace, what's the world that you envision?
Like, with regards to...
Like, if we could create our world.
So, like, what would the institutions look like? What would the environment look like? Damn, I don't know, man. I feel like we definitely have to... Oh, damn. There's just so many things that have to go down. Like, I don't know. I don't know the details, but we definitely have to, at least in the United States, we definitely have to work out some sort of giving back of land and, like, deconstructing the concept of private property and giving back the land to the indigenous peoples, and then figuring out how I don't know the details but that definitely has to go down. And then I think we should just stop producing plastic, and just because we have the technology for vegetable plastic or whatever, so everything that's made out of plastic, just make it out of that. And then I don't know, all the things, like, yeah, all the good things that need to change should happen.
I agree.
But then, but you're probably asking me, like, what kind of personal stuff?
It's up to you. However you experience the question.
That I want to exist in the new world after post-revolution?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you one thing. Post-revolution, this is something I've really wanted to do. Post-revolution, I want to start a podcast where I smoke a joint in every abandoned mansion in Los Angeles. So post-revolution, that's my PR plans.
Because all the mansions will be abandoned?
Well, who knows where they'll go or what they'll do. They might get scared and go somewhere, or they might stay there. But either way, I just want to smoke a joint in all the abandoned mansions.
That's awesome. I love that. And would you talk or anything, or just like...
Yeah.
We would just sit with you
I
while
would
you
smoke a joint, and then whatever comes to me. Yeah.
I like that. It'd be hard to hotbox that room.
I guess because it's so large. True. Well, we'll figure it out.
Okay. Yeah. That's the best. Would you mind sharing another poem with us, or just...
Sure. Yeah.
So amazing.
Okay. Okay, this one's, like, pretty sci-fi. Awesome. Such a nice breeze out. Wow, says Awesomeness. She steps down 3 cement steps and places her small, plump feet, wrapped in turquoise cotton slippers, to the warm, golden sidewalk. Ribbons of cool air fall horizontally through the 4 o'clock L.A. air. Crescent moon earrings dance with her head from between distracted black curls. Awesomeness is a 23-year-old woman. Plump, light golden brown, blood-kissed cheeks from the sunny sunshine, and slightly punctuated with sweat. Meanwhile, hot, heavy, slow breath. My stomach muscles quiver. My throat purples. A shard of pure silver introduces itself to space. Liquid gold bangs into itself as stars twinkle in a huddled mass all around the metal berth. One pink eye rises from a foaming, boiling, roaring, energetic pool on my baby planet. It's my eye. I'm the only person on this planet. My name is Donya. I heave and bleed and expand and scream raspy mucus into the steamy young air. I collapse onto a bed of petals, bubbling magma and dark blue sand. I can see her so clearly when I close my eyes. Her polished nails sitting ruby and sparkled on her succulent fingertips. I want them caressing me, nursing me to life, guiding me through this constellation of change and metamorphosis. Ase, I whisper with a painful bubble escaping from my swollen lungs. Asemon finally comes out of my mouth with more strain than sound. Back on Earth, Asemon grows, elongates forever until she's a thread. Wind carries her endless string body from Los Angeles to heaven to me.
Oh, man. Yeah. Oh, man, that was awesome.
Love your reactions.
Really? I wasn't ready for it to end. I was like, then what? Then what?
She goes to Donya.
That's awesome.
And she's like gonna be Donya's like partner slash like, it's kind of like this, like kind of like partner slash sperm needed to give birth to the planet.
Is this Donya, is that a name you made up or does it mean something?
You know what? It's a name. It's a common name, but it means world.
Ah. Was that intentional?
And guess what Asemon means?
What?
A sky.
Ah!
I like leaving those like presents.
Yeah.
For like those little gifts for like Farsi speaking people.
That's amazing. I loved your meanwhile. That's the best meanwhile ever.
Yeah.
Because I was like seeing her and I'm like, oh, meanwhile. Here we go.
Yeah, I kind of like reading that story like I'm reading a bedtime story to a kid. Like,
yeah.
Meanwhile.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's like, yeah, I love that.
That was so dope. And then I kept trying to figure out, is it like you? Are you seeing them? Then it's like, oh, maybe not. They're on another planet. Is it the Earth? And like, because when you were saying like bubbling coming out, I thought, is it...
Well, Donya is another planet. She is a straight up other planet. And she's forming. She's a young planet. She's forming. And she needs a guide. But she also needs a lover. She just needs Asemon. She needs a sky. She doesn't have sky. You know what I mean? Maybe it's also a metaphor for the literal, like, geo fucking shit that goes down on a young planet. So Donya is the world, but she doesn't have oxygen. Maybe she doesn't have a fully formed ozone layer. And Asemon is those steps in her formation. And so they're kind of like personified in this poem.
That's why it's so great when you have the author to be like, this is kind of what I'm saying. You're like, oh my God, read it again. That's so dope. Was that did you just write that in one free write or was there edits on that?
I edit all of them hella much. But yeah, I wrote it all out in one go and then I edited it.
Did you discover it through a free write or did you have the idea first?
No, I was just sitting down and writing one day.
And then while you were writing, you're like, maybe the sky and an earth? Is like, how did the process come with the idea?
You mean the concept?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I just wrote, and then afterward, well, when I was writing, I was like, oh, it would be dope if her name was Donya, because she's a world. Yeah, no, I guess it was simultaneous, because, like, I was writing it, and at first I was like, okay, like, I want to just kind of create a window into this scene of this young woman in LA, and I want to like capture the air quality and what she feels like and how her like cheeks are a little hot and what she looks like, and then I was writing that and I was done writing that little window into that scene, and then I was like, I wanted to give it a sci-fi twist. Because in my opinion, I'm under the impression that everything in life deserves a sci-fi twist.
Yeah?
Everything.
What does that mean?
Everything in life deserves a sci-fi twist. Take it how you want it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Yes. Every show, every book, every meal, every conversation, every friendship, everything deserves to like all of a sudden get super sci-fi.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? So like after I was done writing that scene, I was like, I want to write about a planet now. And then I wrote about a planet. And then I was like, okay, I got to tie these two together. And then I was like, this planet needs a lover. And then I wrote about how she wants.
How can we give this podcast a sci-fi twist?
Oh, man. I don't know. I mean, I feel like it is already pretty. I just read a sci-fi story.
True.
But if you want to get sci-fi, so far this podcast is sci-fi in content.
Okay.
But is it sci-fi in structure?
I'm not sure.
I don't think it is.
What? So break that down for me, because you were saying sci-fi in content and structure.
Exactly.
What does that mean?
So the actual file,
Okay.
you know, your MOV file on the computer, the actual visuals. So like we're talking about sci-fi, but are the actual visuals of this video sci-fi? So that would happen in post, like, you know, on your computer, you could like F it up a little bit, do some cool stuff, but you also don't have to in any way whatsoever. And I don't know how we would make it physically sci-fi in this moment between you and I. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay. Something for us to chew on. Maybe next time.
Something
Part 2.
Exactly. Something for us to chew on. Exactly. I'll think about that. I've never had to sci-fi twist a podcast before.
Well, for your joint podcast in the mansions.
Oh, that's
you gotta be prepared.
Yeah, you really do. Yeah, that is gonna be very sci-fi.
So, to kind of go back, can you tell us a little bit about your writing? Do you write every day? Do you write by hand? Do you like to type?
I like to type. I do everything on the computer. Like, I don't even freehand draw anymore. Everything is more comfortable on the computer because, like, I don't like sitting or standing. I prefer laying down. And I can write and draw on the computer laying down.
On your back or your stomach?
Both.
Both? With a laptop or a desktop?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And,
Oh, I didn't fully answer your question.
I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, that's
go
okay.
ahead. I was just curious about that.
No, go ahead, actually. Then let's tangent it up.
No, tangent. The tangent was done. That's why I was like, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Back to the main story. Wait, was this a little sci-fi, maybe?
I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll go for the for sure, though.
Okay. Anyways, so, I don't write every day. I wish I did. I just, like, I have a really stressful day job and I have a really long commute. So basically, like, during the work week, like, I can't really do anything creative. Like, sometimes at the very end of the night before I go to bed, I'll draw on the computer, but like while watching TV, like not even really using my brain. Okay. Because like I cannot. And like writing legit, I use my brain. You know what I mean? Sometimes recently I've been writing in the like randomly, like when I'm on the bus or like when I'm just like out and about, and I'll just go and text myself. And it's like really easy because like I have that little button on my phone that's like a microphone. Yeah. And then you talk and it types. Ooh. So then like sometimes like recently like I've been at the train station and just like I'll just write a random ass poem. By saying it? By saying it. And then it's actually really great because when I go correct the spelling, I also edit the poem. So yeah, I've written like 3 to 4 poems that way. That's dope. And it's like really nice. And then also recently, I'm trying to get into singing. I'm trying to get into music. And so like recently, I've been like going on my lunch break, just taking a walk around the block and like making up a short jingle song poem thing. And then just singing it and like videotaping it. And yeah, it's interesting. Twice now on this podcast, 3 times. The first one that happened where we just aligned is what I was like, and where I was like, oh, I wonder if that was your dad's ghost, and you were like, I think it was my dad's ghost. And then you started talking about the cool breeze coming through and the air conditioner turned on. Oh. And then right now when you were talking about that, I was like, oh, that's what I do with my vocals. And you were like, and I want to start singing. So it's like interesting how like you've been saying the sentence I've been thinking right after I think it. Wow. And there's the third time I had to say something. So there is a sci-fi twist going on here within our brains.
Ooh, we did it!
We don't necessarily even need to share that with the audience. Or maybe we will share that with the audience. Maybe as they're watching the podcast, simultaneous thoughts would happen in their brains. Maybe the sci-fi twist is manifesting naturally.
I love that.
Because we willed it.
I love that.
I do too.
Well, before we leave, what are some of your favorite recipes? Do you like to cook? Do you like to be cooked for? Let's get into this little tasty conversation.
I love cooking.
Okay.
I love being cooked for, and I love cooking for others.
Okay.
And recently, my favorite meal ever has been this, like, ridiculously Trader Joe's meal. So, like, I get the black bean spiral noodles from Trader Joe's.
Boom.
And I boil them up, and then I mix it with, like, a shit ton of olive oil
Nice.
and, like, half of a lime, like, squeezed
While
until
the water's boiling?
Oh, no. I take it out and strain it.
Okay, so now
and
it's
then
strained.
I mix it up with, like, some, like, really delicious sea salt and black pepper and a little bit of cayenne. And then I whip up some, I take some shrimp, some raw shrimp, and I put it on a hot, searing hot pan.
Okay.
Because the shrimp is still frozen. I don't thaw it. I just, like, put it on a searing hot pan and let it, like, literally, like, saute on high.
Is there
for,
oil
like,
on the pan?
15 minutes, shit ton of oil.
Okay.
And basically what happens is, and then I put, like, salt, turmeric, cayenne, cumin, thyme, basically anything in my spice cabinet. Like, everything. Because it tastes good with everything, trust me. So I put shit tons of butter, get it on there, and then the ice, like, it melts so that, like, it's kind of, like, half boiling. And then at the end, only a little bit of, like, most of the water has evaporated and it's cooked. And it's, like, lightly, even, like, just a little, like, you know, good little browning.
Yeah.
And then, but some of the water has remained and it hasn't fully evaporated. And then it's, like, a warm, oily deliciousness. And then I put a spoonful of sunflower butter and a spoonful of tahini and squeeze the other half of the lime.
There's the lime.
And then I mix it all together so it's, like, coated.
Still frying?
The shrimp is... No, I turn it off to add all this shit.
Okay.
Because I don't want it to evaporate anymore. And then the shrimp is, like, perfectly coated in this sauce.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And the sauce is essentially just, like, 1 part evaporated water, 1 part shit tons of butter, 1 part lime, and then 1 part sunflower seed butter, 1 part tahini.
That's so
And then
amazing.
I put it on top of the black bean, and then it's not over. Then I slice a full avocado and I just lay it on top. And then I slice or dice, whatever I'm in the mood for, a full tomato, put that on there. I slice, like, 1/4 of an onion into super thin slivers.
Okay.
Because I love it, like, super thin but raw.
Yeah.
And I grate 1 garlic piece.
I've never grated garlic.
If you grate
I've done
it
the press, you know, but I've never
I've
grated.
never done that.
Okay.
I grate 1 garlic, and then if you mix it with, like, the hot pasta, the hot noodles, it, like, half kind of cooks, but not really, and so it's still really fresh and flavorful. And then I put a spoonful of sunflower seeds and a spoonful of sesame seeds, mix it all up, devour it.
That's amazing. Ho!
It's my #1 favorite meal.
Do you know what's kind of cool too? Is tahini made from sesame seeds, or do I make? So it's kind of like their paste meets.
Yeah, well, I have, like, I have a chronic illness, and I have to eat sunflower seeds and sesame seeds every day.
Okay, gotcha.
It's like a holistic medicine thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but I've figured out how to, like, eat them with, like, true pleasure.
That's amazing. That sounds so delicious.
It is so good.
Ooh. Do you listen to anything while you're doing all that?
Music.
What are you listening to?
I listen to random shit on Spotify. Like, mostly I really love, like, 80s inspired, like, heavy synth pop or dance jams.
Nice.
I'm also really into, like, power ballads. I love the Cocktail Twins. I love that one song by Sinead O'Connor.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? Just, like songs with a lot of passion.
That's awesome. Do you use recipes or just improv?
Mostly improv.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. I only use recipes when I'm baking, because that shit is so mathematical.
Yeah, you got to be exact with that.
Yeah.
What's one of the best I'm trying to think of a fun word for. Is like gastronomic? Is that food? Is gastronomy food? Mm-hmm. What's like your best gastronomic or one of the gastronomic experiences that sticks out to you in your brain?
Like one of the best meals?
Or just experience. Let's go for experience. Because I've had a good meal, but a bad experience. You know what I'm saying?
I hear ya. Well, I love cooking salmon.
Okay.
I love cooking salmon, and I love eating salmon with my fingers. And I love it when it's perfectly cooked. And I think eating with your fingers is where it's at. Because, like, especially salmon. Because when you eat the salmon with your fingers, you can, like, just gently pull apart, like, each perfect layer. And then, like, you know, like, stir it around in, like, the oil and sauce on your plate. And then eat it. And, like, so first you feel, like, the warm oiliness in your fingers. So I feel like the eating starts there. Like, the taste starts there. Like, you can taste it in your body is, like, feeling the oil and the warmth. And it's like, oh, I know. I know what this is going to be like. And then you put it in your mouth. And then it's like a full body pleasure. That's amazing. When you eat with your hands, you know?
I totally agree.
Especially something with that much delicious texture.
And it's the full body experience. You smell it, you touch it, you taste it, you hear it.
And I just feel so, like, luxurious and lucky when I'm eating salmon like that, because I just, like, it's on my fingers and I just feel like I'm just, like, so wealthy in food.
That's awesome. I love that. This has been awesome. Is there anything we haven't talked about that you wanted to mention?
No.
Where can folks tell you how awesome you are?
Go to my website, PARDISLILI.com. And I have a shop there, and I have my email listed there. You can email me. I have an online store through Print All Over Me where I sell, like, clothes.
Okay.
Or you can just add me on Instagram, Human Chandelier.
I like that.
But that's not really professional. That's just if you want to be my friend.
In a non-professional way.
In a totally non-professional context.
And I also have this awesome book, and I love it. I highly recommend getting yourself a copy. How much is it?
$10.
Only $10, folks. You can't afford not to get yourself one. And I mean that truth. We always just take this off the shelf. And like Paradise said, you know, you can look at the pictures, the words, and it's a whole visual experience. Even how on here, like the different colors, feels like everything was done intentionally. Like you really thought through everything that was on here. So it's one of those books that keeps on giving, that you can just go through it again and you're like, that's what this is, or is this what it is? And probably the different state of mind you have while you're reading will also influence your experience of it. So please get yourself a copy.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, high five worthy. Let's start it how we ended it. Fist bump. And Paradise will be our feature, and that feature is going to be on Sunday, September 17th, 12 p.m. if you're on the West Coast, 2 p.m. if you're in Central, like Milwaukee area, 3 p.m. if you're on the East Coast, 8 p.m. if you're in London or Nigeria time. So you can tune into that live and online from anywhere in the world by either calling in on your phone or using the video on your phone or video on your computer, any way you can that has some sort of technological access. And that'll be a great time. We'll create together, and then Paradise is going to be our feature. She's going to close us out and rock it. So anything else?
No, thank you, Tom.
Hey, thank you. It's been amazing. It's been lots of fun.
Yeah, me too.
So check it out and be sure to get your copy of the book. And as always, we're wishing you peace and blessings. Yay!
Yay!
We did it! Yay! Sweet.